Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, what's poppin'? What up? What it do, baby? What it do? How we feeling? 6-game, nice little slate. Couple more days of NBA, and then we get a couple days off of the NBA. Hey, yo, got some massive. We're gonna get the NBA off the same days that we get like the fucking massive UFC 259 on Saturday. Ooh. Yeah, you best believe your boys are going to be chilling, watching out, relaxing, maxing all cool. We can't wait for that shit. But I'm pumped for this NBA slate tonight. I like these little 6-game slates. They're nice. They're not even little. They're concise. They're what you need. They're hard-hitting. They're slapping. They're getting you where you need to go. They get the people going. What's up, everybody? I see people in the chat. Unicorn says, Fells, Dollar Rooski's another great night thanks to Sal. You had a nice night last night? What happened? Unicorn, what happened last night? I don't know if you were sharing it in the Discord already. What you been up to? What happened last night? Great job, PJ Washington. Facepalm. There you go. Love when I have time to catch some Sal Vetri. What's up, Dave? Dave, how you doing out there? You still throwing them bags around? Cornholers? Fellas and the ladies, JB. What up? We're going to let this chat fill up right now because we got some shings to do. Some shings to do right here. Did anybody get a notification for this? Curious. You should have received a notification for this. Just want to make sure that notifications are indeed going out. Based on the YouTube rules, everybody should have got a notification, but we shall see. How y'all doing? This is fun. Sal, 3-player beginner tournament. Jokic, Morant, DeRozan are my anchors. Thoughts? Best strategy for low participant cash 20s. So a 3-player there. Jokic, Morant, DeRozan. That seems good. Yeah, you got a stud up top, and Jokic can't really disagree with that. I like DeRozan a lot, and I think that Morant is really, I would say, really sneaky. You got a notification. Good to know. Yeah, I would say that Morant is Morant. Rhymes. Yeah, Morant looks like a very strong option tonight. Somebody after projecting him out, just this matchup is boosting him up a decent amount. So John Morant, for me tonight, is grading out really well. 38 fantasy points or so, $7,000 flat. He was somebody that was just outside of. He was like my 14th overall play when I did the video this morning. Obviously, moving some guys around. I currently have projected in Jaylen Brown. Has bumped guys like Jason Tatum out of that. So he's slowly moving up now inside my top 5, John Morant. Jonas Valanciunas right now, my number 1 overall point per dollar play. I believe he was number 3 or 4 this morning. So yeah, we're looking good. Got the notification. Yes, I did. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Notified every time the party starts. Says he made it. Yeah, we having a motherfucking party tonight. We vibing. We relaxing. We maxing all cool. Up in this biatch. So what we got? Questions? Yeah, Noti Game. Oh, yeah, let me know. I signed up for Super Draft. I don't understand it. Hey, official, what don't you understand? Ask any questions you want. We got you, my man. We got you. No salary caps, multiplier format. Pretty cool. I got a notification in Texas. Hey, you still got that power out there? Hey. What do we got? Sal, is Jokic still the play over Giannis? My first lineup ended up fading Jokic and having Morris and Michael Porter Jr. in it. Yeah, I think those two guys, Michael Porter Jr. and Morris, they both make sense today. They make a lot of sense today. Now, between Jokic and Giannis, I currently have Jokic as the better play. I have Jokic as clearly the cheaper option and projecting out for about a half a point more. They're basically virtually the same play. Jokic is a little bit less, and he projects out for barely, like, fractionally more. So, I mean, it's a coin flip on them, right? Like, this morning, Jokic was my number 1 overall play. Giannis was number 2 overall play. That's exactly what they are to me, right? Like, I think that they're pretty much coin flips. It can kind of come down to positionality. Like, there's a couple of other centers on the slate, a value in Brook Lopez, a strong option at $7,200 in Joval, right? Jonas, another mid-range option in Nerlens Noel. So, there's a little bit more flexibility than normal on like a 6-game slate at center. So you don't have to go to Jokic. But yeah, Jokic still grades out better for me than a Giannis as of right now. As of right now. Man, who in here has placed in the top 1% yet? Did not place in the top 1% yesterday, but if you're just asking about this year, yeah, we placed in the top 1%. A lot of people in the chat have placed in the top 1%. If it's not on DraftKings, be on Superdraft, small field, as long as you're playing small field stuff. I mean, if you've been playing DFS at this point, let's just say, how many NBA slates do you think there's been? We've had NBA since like right before Christmas, I believe. So if you've been playing in like 50 NBA slates, and you haven't had a top 1% finish, yeah, look, I mean, like you can go 50 slates playing completely well and not get there. There is a little bit of luck, but you set yourself up by playing properly. It's contest selection. Like if you're playing in a 100-person field and you're not finishing in the well, I guess top 1% in a 100-person field is winning it. 1,000-person field, and you're not finishing in. If you're consistently playing in a 1,000-person field contest, and you're not finishing in the top 10 ever, like not even once, got to start looking at what you're doing a little bit more from the NBA standpoint. Somebody in here asked, I think it was Sal, you're absolutely amazing. So David says, favorite content creator, I have trouble cashing. Well, appreciate that, man. I have trouble cashing in basketball. I really understand football game theory and stacking. I think I'm missing some strategy for NBA. Yeah, so it's totally different strategy in NBA. A lot of it is ownership driven, but also keeping up with news and knowing how to pivot. That's where a lot of the edge is going to come in. As always, a general thing for DFS, that's why we promote Super Draft, is when the contests don't fill, that's where your first dollar should be going, because your chances of cashing increase by however many less people are in the contest, sometimes 30% less, right? So that's important. But NBA, I have a guide in the description below. You can check it out. I wrote it about 2 years ago at this point, I think. Some of the points are maybe outdated. The main one being like that I promote playing cash in that, which is still fine, but I don't play anymore. So just note that. But there's some things in the guide. It's free in the description below. You can check it out. It's like 10 tips for NBA DFS. It's just lineup construction stuff. Not putting just terrible players, like actual shooting guards in your shooting guard spot and actual small forwards in your small forward spot. It might seem counterintuitive. Like, what do you mean? Well, you can get a lot of point guards in your shooting guard spot, right? Little things like that. You can get a lot of centers in your power forward spot. You can sometimes get power forwards in your center spot or power forwards in your small forward spot, right? And if you're lucky, there's been like 1 or 2 times, usually a year, that a small forward eligible player will start at center, and now you have another center in your lineup. The reason why you should be wanting to get a lot of centers in your lineup, I could pull up the target offense sheet today. Right here in this far column is the center's scoring points. So you can see right here. So the average, this is how much like the average this team is currently giving up. So like Memphis right now, average is giving up 55.8 points per game to the center. But you can see how many points this is. It's pretty large, right? 61, 56, 60, 60, all the way down here. If you look at some other positions, the worst team against shooting guards on this slate gives up 45 points. That's not even close to what the best team at defending centers is giving up. It's 10 points off, right? So you can look at small forwards. The worst team only gives up 44 points. So the closer to the basket you are, centers, that's why they're normally more expensive, but sometimes they're not. Like Jonas Valanciunas late today. Like for some reason, Cantor all season long. He's getting like the Miles Turner in the pass treatment. Centers and power forwards and point guards are going to, on average, score the most points, and that's the positions that will usually thrive and win for you. So not every single slate can you take advantage of that by getting like shooting guards in every single or point guards in every single shooting guard spot. But when it comes down to prioritizing it or choosing this guy or that guy, if you're hand building, yeah, you should be trying to do that. And also, speaking of hand building, we have an optimizer now. We'll talk about it. We talked about it on the stream yesterday. It seemed like it helped people out. I made a video this morning for all patrons who have access. It's about a 15-minute video, maybe like 14-minute video that walks through some of basically all the functioning of the optimizer as it stands. All the feedback that we've gotten for it, I've sent over to the developer. Some more stuff will be coming, but this is the big energy optimizer. We'll talk through it. We can build some lineups as the slate goes on and more people get up in here. Got over 120 people in here. How y'all doing? How's your National Banana Cream Pie Day? What's good, my boy Sal? Last night I flipped $12 into $200 with a $322 lineup. Thanks again. Nice job, Andrew. Who was like your anchors? Who was like the big guy who ended up getting you there? Maybe a lower owned option. Who was that? What is your best advice for building NBA lineups? All right, so the same guy asked that one. Yeah, so I assume you just heard the whole spiel right there. You can check out down below. There's a lot of things that can help you out. I mean, the biggest thing normally is looking at your contest selection, like before you even start to look at NBA lineups. If you're playing in the one contest that has 100K to first every night and 30,000 people, I don't even know how many people are in it because I never play it, you're never going to win. You might min cash. You might maybe hit like a 400th place finish, right? But I say never. Obviously, somebody wins it, but not everybody in here is going to win it. Not in a year, right? When there's 200 people in here right now. So, yeah, I would say look very strongly into your contest selection. Playing the contest I personally do that have less than 1,000 people, ideally less than 500, even better if it's less than 300, right? There's a lot of those contests out there. People just usually don't like to play in them. Whew, got a lot of people in here. Appreciate Dozier more minutes again tonight instead of Latko. I don't actually have Dozier grading out that well. I have Dozier tonight at 18 minutes. I mean, I could see 20 minutes. I have Konkar at 15 minutes, who you were referring to. Dealing with fall of all Houston sports. Interesting. Would you mind sharing the new Dolaruski dozen? Yeah, so top 12 plays as of right now. We're still waiting on a decent amount of news. I saw Fantasy Labs tweeted out their 3 o'clock, or just, the NBA's 3 o'clock news report. Jaylen Brown questionable. Jimmy Butler, obviously massive news. Jimmy Butler questionable and Brown, depending on what happens there. We have Bogdanovich playing, but on a minutes limit, so nothing major there. Keldon Johnson, I'm not projecting him for much, like 20 minutes, 18 minutes right now. That's about it. Kyle Anderson will change some stuff, like upper 20s in minutes. Yeah. So new Dollaruski dozen right now. Jonas Valanciunas, Nikola Jokic, John Morant, Brook Lopez, Kawhi, Justice Winslow is up there, but not like a yes for me. Derrick Rose, Tillman's up there, but not a yes for me. Giannis, Noel, I think that's 12 or 13. Russell Westbrook, Michael Porter, Dennis Schroeder. That would be my top 13 plays finishing at shooter. So shooter kind of stays at the same point. Some guys who have dropped, the main one, Jason Tatum, has dropped pretty low. Reason being is I'm projecting in Jaylen Brown right now. Guys that spiked upwards. So a lot of these Memphis guys, like we said, they're going to be fine values. Those guys are ranking out for me, but like I'm not ranking out like Xavier Tillman grades out point per dollar wise is like a top 8 play. He's not a top 8 overall play for me because he only grades out for like 18 points. Same thing for Justice Winslow. Only grades out for like 20 points and change. These guys are probably going to pick up ownership more than they should. And that's where I'll basically determine what that's going to look like. Like I do think that you're going to be getting some of those guys to pick up some ownership, like a Desmond Bain, and some of those other options. A Justice Winslow. I'm gonna have to track it though because I'm not really looking to chase 20% ownership on like those bad of players. Obviously, if Kyle Anderson is out, it's a different story. Dozier screwed me. I will not play him again. Plus $22 and a couple of shares of Melo on the Jock market yesterday. Let's go, says Ian. Shout out to you, Ian. Yeah, Ian. I'll let other people know as well that we'll be doing the Jock market show tonight. 6:45 to about 7. The market closes at 7:30 tonight, so around 7:45, so about an hour. Jock market specific show after this show. So be sure to check into that. The Daily Fantasy Sports Stock Exchange. I would encourage you to check that out. So we'll wait until there's a couple more people in here. Then we can talk about Jock Market a little bit more. We got about 167 people still throwing them bags. Check out our Facebook page and check out all the new jerseys. Let me know if you want one. Yeah, I will. Let me see if I can take off this light and if that messes with anything. How dark does that make me? Makes me pretty dark, huh? Yeah, I'm going to keep it on. Just getting some fucking too much lights on me right now. I'm getting fucking dizzy over here. Phoenix versus Lakers, your top 8 picks in that specific game? What you mean? That specific fucking game? Is it okay to not have players in the late game, or should I always look to have players throughout the night? I mean, if you have players throughout the night, you at least have opportunities to late swap, right? So you understand where you play. So I'm never against like prioritizing a guy who plays later if it's like the deal breaker. Like if you have 2 guys who look like identical to you, ownership, points upside, and one of them plays at 10 and one of them plays at 7. Yeah, I mean, having anytime you can make a decision that gives you more time to react to, that's probably your better decision when that's like everything else is equal, right? But no, I wouldn't play a guy that plays at 10 o'clock tonight. Make that like a large reason why you're playing him, right? If everything else grades out and you're like, I don't know how else to compare these guys. This guy plays a 10, sure, because that gives you more flexibility in your lineup to where if you're having a very good lineup, you can now pivot to chalk if that guy's not chalky in your 10 o'clock lineup. If you're having a bad game, you might as well get off of that guy because you're not going to cash anyway, so take your chance at hitting some upside. So for me, it's a nuanced answer. I'm always playing with like 40K people. Yeah, I would avoid that. I mean, that's my personal choice. Like if you're trying to make money, your odds of making money are not going to be well in those 40,000 person fields. They usually have large rake. You literally have to beat 40,000 people to win. Seems pretty fucking. You have to beat an entire basketball arena to win. It's probably not going to be you if somebody spins around and throws a dart at somebody to win, right? Because that's what that ends up being. It's probably not going to be you getting hit by that dart. So, yeah, I mean, not a lot of people will talk about that, but that's, I mean, if you legitimately want to win, like that's what we push here. We push small field, single entry, 3 max, and that's why a lot of patrons have been having success. We push sites and partners where you're going to be having a lot of upside to win in unique formats that people don't understand yet. Hence Jock Market, hence Super Draft. That contests don't fill over there. So there's a lot of upside. Fellas, let's give our boy Sal a like and sub if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to sign up for his Patreon. Sometimes it won't renew on the first month. What do you mean it didn't renew on the first month? Should renew on the first month. Got second place in 2,000 entry tourney on Saturday. Would have taken down 3K or more in any of the bigger tournaments. Oh no, Sal's a Discord. Somebody says, yeah, we got a Discord. Like 200 people in there. Just signed up for the Hall of Fame Patreon, says Jesse Jimenez. Shout out Jesse. Round of applause. Jimenez, Mr. Jesse Jimenez. What a name, JJ. Welcome into the community. Welcome into the family. Good sir. I like that. Start playing the small field single entries. Odds are way better. Exactly. Harden and Jokic yesterday. Let's fucking go. A little help tonight. Harden and Giannis or a core with Tatum and Kawhi. So I'm not going to be interested in Tatum unless we see Jaylen Brown out. We're still waiting on that. Kawhi's completely fine. Yeah, there's a lot of second tier options tonight. So we can pull up the Clippers minutes right now on the screen behind me. Then we can start crunching some lineups out. Kawhi, easily my favorite play from the Clippers right now. Not that many other guys really stand out all that much. I mean, Paul George, okay, but nothing great. Yeah, there's a lot of other options, I would say, tonight. Like a lot of ways to go different in different ranges. A lot of pay-up options, obviously, with LeBron still on this slate. You have some other guys like Russell Westbrook in the 10K plus. Yeah, the obvious answer, if we get more value, is Giannis and Jokic, but there's not enough value for me, at least right now. Like, you can throw darts at some of these Memphis guys. It's interesting that a lot of guys are picking up ownership, even though the Memphis guys that are out right now is just Grayson Allen. Sure, that gives minutes to these other guys, but they can easily spread those minutes out, and it's not like Grayson Allen's a high producer, right? It's not like John Morant's out and now these guys are going to pick up production. No, Jonas Valanciunas, John Morant, Dylan Brooks is now back playing more minutes. Like, these guys are going to take all the production. Sure, Justice Winslow's a good player. If we can get locked in minutes, I think that's an okay value option tonight. But not a lot of value tonight. Like, if you're looking at value, I think Brook Lopez is the best value play at $4,100. Winslow's okay at $3,900. And then, yeah, you're throwing darts at guys like Tillman and Obi Toppin at $3,000 flat and Desmond Bain. None of them are great. I would say that Brook Lopez is my favorite option. Justice Winslow fine after that. So it's tough to get to the two pay-up options. I think going to like a Jokic and then going down to, I mean, even a Kawhi might be hard to pair those two together. A little bit tougher today. Hands down, Sal is the best Patreon for Discord, and the community Discord is straight fire. Don't sleep on the great content everyone banking dollar rooskies. My man Skylar, hype man in the chat. I appreciate you, Skylar. That's too kind. Yeah, if anybody has any questions on Patreon, let me know. We just added the optimizer this month officially to the tiers. So this is the optimizer. I mean, it's kind of cut off right now on the screen, sadly. But we can look into some stuff. I made a video this morning. You can talk about team stacks, position groups, player groups, so you can only get a certain amount of players that you want from a specific team or a certain amount of value. Like tonight, this is a perfect thing to use this for. Ready? So like tonight, Justice Winslow, Xavier Tillman, who else is going to be? The Desmond Bain. Like, these three guys are going to be popular value options tonight. You could even probably throw Tyus Jones into this mix. If Kyle Anderson is out, I think that these guys being popular options is justifiably so. But I would say that I mean, you can go with at most, you can go with at least. I mean, I probably don't even want, if I'm playing, so this is what I'll talk about. If I'm playing the big 150,000, like what's his name was saying earlier, official LA General, if I'm playing the one that has 40,000 people in it, sure, you can get at most two of these guys, right? You can play two of these guys and hope that they pop off. One of them pops off, both of them do fine, and then you can get it to pay up options. In my small field single entry, I want at most one of them, right? So in my small field, if I'm playing with 500 people or less, 200 people or less, 80 people or less, I only want one of Winslow, those three value options that are somewhat shaky from the same team. You could also throw Tyus Jones into that. So, I mean, these roles should really be determined based on the types of contests you're playing. So that's one way that you can start to limit your lineups and have the optimizer control you or help control. You control it, but help control your lineups in an educated way that you don't have to be putting all algorithms and you just do this. So this is our optimizer. It is very powerful and it's only the beginning portion of it. So the Big Energy Optimizer, it's on Patreon. You can check it out, offered in some of the tiers. So that's like one rule I would add. I'm going to finish up the ads later, but let's just build some lineups right now. We'll put in, let's go with 2 for unique, so we can change it if we need to. Let's go with max from the same team. Let's just put max from the same team as 3 tonight, and we'll crunch out 150 lineups, and we'll let this build in the background. Obviously, I don't have all my rules in that I would be putting in. Only 6 games, so the rules will legitimately take, as I look through each team, 10 minutes at most. So we'll let those lineups build, and then we'll come back to them. This is before, obviously, any of the news comes out on mainly Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler, or Jaylen Brown and Jimmy Butler. So we can wait on that, and then that'll give us some interesting lineups to look at. Thoughts on Raul Nato tonight? Not interested, so I could pull up Washington. It's just tough to be interested in a guy like that when they just give so many guys minutes. Garrison Matthews still playing around 20 minutes. I even gave Nato probably more minutes than most people, 24. I wouldn't be shocked if he plays 20. They just have so many other bodies out there. They're still giving Denny and Troy Brown rotational run, right? Obviously, now you're getting bigger minutes for Bertans, things like that. Melton or Quickly or neither? If I had to pick one, I would say Melton. My answer probably would be neither, if I'm being honest with you. Somebody asked about where to get that or see that optimizer. You can check it out right here in there. Tillman or Bain with Allen out? I would go with Tillman if I had to pick one. I think Bain plays more minutes, but I do think that Tillman point per dollar wise gives you more upside. He's just a better producer, Tillman. So I currently have Tillman for 20 minutes and Bain for 22, but I have Tillman as a 0.85 fantasy point per minute producer and Bain as a 0.76. The faith I had in PJ Dozier last night, man, yeah. And watch tonight, he'll be doing well, right? What's up? Been down since WNBA videos in 2018. Who's that guy tonight? What's going on, Rob? Yeah, how many other people were chilling during those WNBA videos? Those were fun to do, right? Because it was such a profitable sport. Now, obviously, last year it got all mixed up. It was hard to really cover it when COVID was on. It was like barely on anyways, small like 2-game slates. Wasn't really something I was prioritizing with the NBA in full swing and NFL season starting back up. So who's the guy tonight? So I think Jonas Valanciunas right now is my number one overall play. This stuff will change depending on what happens with obviously Jimmy Butler. Will open up a ton from that entire Miami team. So that guy's just like averaging a triple-double over the last month. And then stuff with Jaylen Brown. So right now it's Jonas Valanciunas. A lot of Memphis looks good today. And that's not even counting if Kyle Anderson out. It gets even better if Kyle Anderson's out. For a cheap option, Brook Lopez, Justice Winslow look pretty solid. Mid-range options outside of John Moran and Jonas Valanciunas. I do like Derrick Rose. I like Derrick Rose a good amount. I think his teammate Nerlens Noel looks pretty decent now, right? Schroeder continues to look well. You find getting to Jokic, Murray, and Giannis, it's going to be tough, David. Yeah, it's going to be tough right now. But with the current value that we have, I mean, getting to Jokic and Giannis, let alone Murray, who, are you talking about Jamal or DeJounte? I'd rather get to DeJounte. Similar price ranges, but I think DeJounte has more upside. Right now, I'll say no. Like right now, I'm probably not going with stars and scrubs. Like I'll get 1 star and then probably dip down to maybe Kawhi at 8,800. If not, I'll go with like a Jokic and a Valanciunas, a Jokic and a Morant and build from there. We just don't have enough value, right? Like getting to Brook Lopez and Winslow might be enough to pair those two together, but I'm not even certain in that value. And then after that, you're like filling out the rest of your lineup with like what? I assume you're probably filling the rest of it out with like maybe you can get to like the Dennis Schroeders of the world. Then you got to like fill it out with like a Kendrick Nunn, a Derrick Rose, if that all fits, right? It's tough. Why does Joval score about 10 fantasy points every time I score him or every time I play him? Well, I assume that was just the last time that he played that you played him, which in that game, 5 personal fouls. They lost by 49 points. They either lost or won by 49. I think they lost by 49. So 5 personal fouls, and he only played 13 minutes. So he got, I don't even know. I can go back and look at Popcorn Machine. 3 fouls early on. They lose by almost 50 points. Bad luck then, so don't play him tonight because I plan to play him right now. Do you like any of the value in San Antonio? We can pull up San Antonio. I want to see what happens with Keldon Johnson, but yeah, none of these value options are yeses right now for me from San Antonio. DeRozan's the only guy that I actually like. All the other value is just meh, right? Like if Keldon Johnson gets ruled out, that's 20 more minutes to go around. I think a lot of it goes to Diapo, right? I think Trey Jones maybe gets into rotations for a minute or two at that point. But I would say that Lonnie Walker goes to like 32 minutes. I would say that Lyles goes to like 32 minutes. Diapo probably picks up 10 minutes, and then after that you have like 5 minutes left to go around for the rest of this rotation. So right now the value just kind of looks like it's all there, right? Like Trey Lyles, Patty Mills in the 4K range, Lonnie Walker at 5,100. I'd rather take some shots on those guys if they'll be like 5% owned compared to some of these Memphis guys at a similar price who will be 20% owned. Yeah. What guys are going to be the high ownership players tonight? Yeah, so it seems like some of these Memphis value options, just Memphis in general, like John Moran will pick up ownership. Jonas Valanciunas will pick up some, but since he's a center, it'll kind of be spread out because Jokic will still be popular today. People will go to Brook Lopez as a lower option, so that'll kind of balance that out. But yeah, you can expect like Giannis, Jokic to be highly owned. You can expect a lot of these Memphis value guys like a Desmond Bain and a Desmond Bain and also a Justice Winslow to be lower owned. But I mean, that's like really it for the most part. Like Marquis Morris might pick up some. I'm not really expecting much other chalk tonight. I do think that an interesting player today, depending on what happens with Kyle Anderson, will be Dillon Brooks. Either way, Dillon Brooks is like a really appealing player. I'll pull up Memphis's minutes right now. So Brooks is an appealing player because he's not going to grade out as anything strong. Like he's in a player pool for me. He's a yes for me. He's one of my yeses because I'm high on him today. I only have him at 28 minutes. This is a guy who can play easily 30 to 32 minutes. Usually foul trouble gets him out of these games. But if Kyle Anderson is out, like barring foul trouble, Brooks might play 34 minutes today. And he's right now coming in at 5,300. And Dillon Brooks is going to kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit, like in terms of ownership, because of every other guy on Memphis, whether it's your pay-ups and John Moran and Jonas Valanciunas being underpriced, or your pay-downs that people are going to jump to for the value tonight. And I think people are just going to get lost in Dillon Brooks at 5,300. And I think he's a very, given everything, given the context of the leverage off of his higher-owned players on his team and things like that, I think Dillon Brooks is actually a pretty strong option. Obviously, foul trouble is always a concern for him. 28 minutes, he looks good for me right now. I only have, on this 6-game slate, obviously a smaller slate, I currently only have, in a player pool tonight, I believe it is 40 total players. And out of those 40 players, I have 14. You can check this all out on Patreon, projections, ranks, all that stuff. I only have 14 out of those 48 that are currently yeses. And Dillon Brooks is one of them. So he's kind of in that player pool right now for me that's actually being considered for a single entry. I think Dillon Brooks is a strong play. He's not a terrible play. If you just factor in if Kyle Anderson plays, I would actually like to be playing Dillon Brooks today if we could have played him on SuperDraft, but he's not going to be out there because he's starting on those early games, not somebody that we can own in the Jock market. it appears, sadly. So, yeah, I'll let you know right now, since we got about 200 plus people in here, that almost 300 people. Pretty cool. What's going on, everybody? Jock Market is sponsoring the show, and I'll be doing from 6:45 to about 7:45. The market closes at 7:30. A live show on this channel just for Jock Market called The Opening Bell, our third ever. So if you want to come support, check out that show. Get those ratings up for us. That'd be awesome. Just really the communication in the chat is the biggest thing. I like bouncing ideas. That's why I love these shows. So having that in the chat the last couple of weeks on Jock Market has been very helpful. So I appreciate the people who have been tuning in. But yeah, Jock Market, you want to use the code SAL20. It is a fantasy sports stock exchange. You can buy shares in these players tonight. So depending on where they score, fantasy points wise, that's how much return on investment you will get, or you will lose depending on it, right? So there's a lot more nuance to it. There's some videos on their YouTube channel and in the app. But if you want to use the code SAL20, there's some free game modes. Let me know if you've played Jock Market down below too in the comments, or really the live chat right now. You want to use the code SAL20, SAL20. They'll give you $20 in your account to be playing with on Jock Market. He answered at the beginning. CP3 versus Booker. I'll take CP3 there. Will Barton or Daniel Tice? I'll take Barton. I'm not really sold on Daniel Tice at all. Barton's just kind of staying stagnant at this price point. It's nice to see the overall shot attempts that he's had. He's, I would say, in line for a bigger game, but yeah, Daniel Tice playing bigger minutes lately. I'm not projecting Daniel Tice to play 30 minutes. I'm not projecting Daniel Tice to continue to score at the rate that he's doing, 18.5 points over each of the last 2 games. It's probably his best 2-game stretch of the entire season, and now people are just expecting, with the price point coming up, for that to be Daniel Tice. No, I gave him 27 minutes. I'm not projecting him for over a point per minute like he's had these last couple of games. Daniel Tice, to me, with this increased price point, just looks like a very bad play. Does that mean he can't go out there and score 30 or 34 points, DraftKings points tonight? No, he definitely can, but on paper, when a guy's having his 2 best games in a row, and he's not somebody who normally consistently plays well or even consistently gets minutes, and now his price point is up like $1,000 since 2 games ago, normally the point where you say, okay, let's look around. All the other studs in the team, maybe Jaylen Brown will be out, but all the other studs in the team for the most part, Kemba, Jason Tatum, are going to be out here. What is really doing this? His good shooting the last couple of games is keeping him on the court more, right? A little bit of an outlier. Should Jokic just be 100% lock on Superdraft tonight? Jokic is a very strong Superdraft play. I'll pull up Denver's minutes so you can get an idea of what I'm doing with Denver's minutes tonight. Massive minutes for the starters, as always. Like Monty Morris, I'm giving 33. He looks like one of the more secure, cheaper options tonight. He's not necessarily a full-on value. I'm not too sure that you can full-on lock Jokic tonight. The only reason why he looks very appealing is because the opportunity cost, right? Like, Jokic is my highest projected player by about 3 points on Superdraft, but when you look at who's the next closest projected center, he's like 8 or 9 more points higher than them. And like that multiplier is 1.5x on DeAndre Ayton. You don't have Marcus Aldridge on the slate, although he wasn't looking great in general. Then you have Jakob Poeltl. The Jonas Valanciunas multiplier would have been interesting, but he's not on the slate, right? They knock out that first game so they can have a little bit more time for people to enter their contests after DraftKings and FanDuel. So, yeah, I would say that I'm not playing 100% because I would like to get to a little bit of Ayton, but Jokic is hard to ignore because of that positionality, right? Sign up for Patrons. Locks to look up and set up. Thanks, Al. Yeah, no problem, man. So all the stuff's on there. So depending on what tier, if you sign up for the NBA stuff, yeah, all the projections, rankings, the player pools right now for Superdraft and DraftKings are up there. If you sign up for Priority or Hall of Fame tier, you'll also have access to the Optimizer, the Discord. You'll have access to either way. So yeah, you get it all up in there. If you're into other sports as well, we'll be having the golf projections going out tomorrow morning, MMA projections, Optimizer, all that stuff going out later in the week as well. Welcome aboard. Sal, how about Hero with Butler out? Is Butler officially out? Did that news just come out or something? Because then, yes, that would clearly look good. Hero would start to become one of my priorities at a cheaper price point. So Butler has not been officially ruled out. So Butler to Vidor is not officially out yet. But if Butler was ruled out, then yeah, Hero would start to become a priority because he's way too cheap. Like Hero, when Butler was out earlier this season, David signed up for the $50 tier. David Bishop. I'm not sure if that's you in the chat, but there you go. You have access to everything now, Hall of Fame. So Hero at $6,000 flat, like this was a $7,300 player when Butler was out earlier this year. And really, earlier this year was literally like 3 to 4 weeks ago. So also during that time, Dragic was out, so also important to keep that in mind. But yeah, I would say that Hero would instantly become at least $500 under price. Can you fade Giannis and Jokic tonight for Westbrook and Jonas Valanciunas? Yes, I think you can. It's scary, but I think you can because Jonas Valanciunas has 50-point upside. Westbrook has 65-point upside, right? They don't get there as much as Giannis and Jokic do. That's your concern. But I think you can, yes. Strongly agreeing that Dylan Brooks take. He's gotten 45 to 50-point upside, and ownership will be down with everybody confusing on Ja Morant, Jonas Valanciunas, and the value. Yeah, I agree. Like 45 to 50-point upside, like that's a stretch, right? Like maybe he'll do that once or twice a year, but he's cheap. He's $5,300, so I don't even need that. Like, yes, if he gets that gets me 8, 9, 10x, that's great. But if Dylan Brooks goes out there and gets 32 points tonight at 5,300, that's killer. That's 6x, 6 plus X, right? And he's more than capable of doing that because he literally averages 0.95 fantasy points per minute. It's just a matter of does he play 26 minutes or does he play 32? What do we got? What do we got in the chat right now? 3-player beginner tournament. Jokic, DeRozan, and Morant. And Bachelor's thoughts on the strategy in small slates. Yeah, as anchors, I think that's nice. Chris Middleton tonight, I'm not really there too much. Kemba's in. Only Jalen is out. Jalen is not currently out. Jalen Brown is questionable. And I'm projecting him in right now. Trey Young or Kawhi? I'll take Kawhi. I did well in Korean baseball this last year. There you go. None or Rose if Butler misses. I don't know why Rose would be an option. Oh, like just in general. I'll go to, so you're asking me Kendrick Nunn with no Butler or Derrick Rose in general tonight. I would transition over to Kendrick Nunn. Anyway, you consider doing WNBA projections again? Probably not. It's just tough. I mean, if I did them, I would have to outsource to somebody else to do them, which at that point, I'm not really sure I want to. The reason why I was doing WNBA projections for Patreon at that time and hosting them was because I was actually playing every single night, and I was able to. But now with NBA becoming more of a priority for me, playing every single night, from that side of it, really taking advantage of these single entry and 3 maxes where I think there's way a lot of opportunity in my opinion, and a lot of those people just like enter their cash lineup into those or enter like one of their GPP lineups that are for like 150 maxes, and they're just, even good players are playing those wrong. That's just, they can't keep up with everything. But it's tough. I wouldn't probably offer WNBA projections right now. There's a chance that come next year, yes, once we're moved all over to a membership site, because then I can have a lot of things automated to the point where I don't really have to be every single day spending, like right now on these DraftKings projections, like in the Super Draft projections, the NBA ones, daily it takes, just to get them to market, it takes like an hour and a half, like minutes projections, doing all the rates. That's not even counting the updates that have to be made. So like daily, it could be like a 2 to 2.5 hours of work just for that one piece of content a day. So adding in WNBA would be a little bit of a stress right now until we have some like automation, AI technology in there. The Denver and Bucks game is going to be such a high scoring game, just trying to fill in on that. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair take. Thank you, Cheryl. Much appreciated. So Paul says, Sal, my man, I hit for 15K last night. Thanks to your help. Thank you for all your hard work you put in to help us out. Can pay off some major debt now. That's awesome, Paul. Nice. Man, that's so cool. My man Paul just comes into the chat, listens a little bit, uses that 1% of the help and 99% of his own skill set, and then knocks out $15,000 Ruskies. Paul Bucher in the chat. Nice job. That's so cool. You can pay off some of your debt. Isn't that crazy? Right? Like obviously, if you play properly, right? If you play the right what type of contest was that in before I speak out of the side of my mouth? But 15K, unless that wasn't first place. If you play the right contest, if you max out the contest that you can play in, lots of upside comes your way. And just in general, like playing NBA DFS, and like you might literally lose for, maybe not, hopefully you're not losing every single night for 2 months straight, but you might be like, let's just say you're down $1,000 after 2 months or something like that. And you might be like, damn, I lost $1,000 in 2 months. First of all, it's entertainment. So if you played for like 60 nights, right? That's still a lot of money, but you're spending like what, $15 a night at that point to $14 a night to have some entertainment. Yeah, probably a little bit more than you would like to be doing, but then you always have that upside if you're actually playing properly, that the variance is going to go in your favor, and bam, it goes in your favor. You win 15K. And now if you're like a guy who plays $500 a month, $200 a week, $100 a week, $100 a month, whatever it is, you might be set now for years with 15K of DFS earnings and can actually move forward your life by paying off debt. That's crazy. Good stuff, man. Good stuff, good sir. Hey, Sal, having some banana cream pie in my face and wondering if Ibaka at 1.7x on Superdraft is a good play. I'm going to stay away from it. Ibaka is somebody that I want to get to, but there's just not much meat on the bone once Paul George is actually starting to play minutes now, right? Paul George is not just playing 28 to 30, he's starting to play more minutes. So 1.7x is not going to be in play for me over on Superdraft. He is my 46th overall player there. On my way to film a movie with Dennis Quaid and enjoying your stream. Nice. I'm going to be honest, I'm not really into movies, so I don't know who that is, but cool. Westbrook or Beal if you're fading Jokic? I'll go Westbrook there. I think the upside is higher for Westbrook. Sure. Can Beal score 50 or 55? Yes. Is Westbrook basically medium projecting for that? Yes. So I'll pull up Westbrook right now. And Beal, I have currently Beal projecting nicely tonight for $400 less, but I have Westbrook just overall as a better play in the way higher ceiling. Andre Brown donates $2. He said, how do you feel about point guard if Jaylen Brown is out, or PG, on Jock Market? So how do I feel about Paul George if Jaylen Brown is out today? I assume you're saying Paul George, like as in just like he bumps up to the next tier because obviously not guys that play in the same team today. Honestly, like if Jaylen Brown is out today, yeah, I mean, Paul George I already like more than Jaylen Brown, so it's not really doing much for me. Like on Jock Market tonight, if Jaylen Brown was out, it would help clearly guys on his team, Jason Tatum mainly, start to become more appealing, Kemba to a lesser extent. But for Jock Market specifically, yeah, I already like Paul George more than Jaylen Brown in a Jock Market setting right now. I would like Jason Tatum more than Paul George if that was to happen. Don't know how to take Morris because of high-scoring game or to go with Brooks because of that minutes upside and chalk on Brooks. I don't think Brooks is going to be chalk. I don't think Dylan Brooks, I don't think is going to be chalk today. Westbrook's best friend's birthday is today. He passed away years ago, and Russ writes his initials on his shoe before every game if you're into narratives. That is a real narrative. Look, narrative street people would just like dismiss it as something that doesn't exist. Human emotions are a real thing. If human emotions weren't a real thing, the stock market wouldn't exist, right? GameStop wouldn't jump up as much as it does. Human emotions are a real thing. So can I quantify how much Russell Westbrook's going to put more effort in and energy into each and every play tonight or a couple of plays at the beginning of the game that he normally wouldn't? No, I can't. But can I recognize that it's there? Yeah. So when you see a lot of creators in the space say, narrative streets, they don't exist, or they're just having fun with them, those things exist. You can't tell me that they don't exist. If you want to tell me that you can't quantify them, sure. But if you want to tell me that they don't exist, you're false. Are some stronger than others? Yeah. Like revenge factors for guys that were traded from a team that there's no ill will or nothing like that. Yeah, those probably aren't there. When a guy writes his initials on his shoe from a friend that has died, a best friend in the past, there is more motivation. Even if it's literally for the first 2 minutes of the game that there's higher intensity, that is higher than there normally is, right? He's touching the ball more than he normally does. That stuff is going to be affecting his overall points outcome on a larger scale. The problem is we can't quantify it. The Big Eyebrow Brotherhood, I see you, Sal. Yeah, man. They're on fleek all the time. What do we got here? Durant, you might be onto something. Durant. That's a guy's name. That's the guy who was just talking about Westbrook. They were single entry, sub 1,000 entry tournaments. There we go. So I figured that's what Paul was doing if he was in this chat a lot. Yeah, he said he played in a single entry, won 15,000, sub 1,000 people in it. There you go. Right? There you go. People want to win $15,000 and they're chasing the big prize and hoping that they finish second. I assume, Paul, I don't know if you can go back and look at this, but I assume that if Paul put that exact same lineup into the big $40,000 to first, Paul probably would have won like at most $1,000, right? That's just my guess. When there's 40,000 more people, Paul probably would have walked away with like $1,000 or $500. Instead, he walks away with $15K because he took the extra time to play in the proper contests. It cannot be overstated how important that is. Left my ass up. Somebody says, very insightful. Russ about to cook. Hey, Sal, how you doing? Who's your favorite Super Draft plays today? What's going on, Zachary? Yeah, so favorite Super Draft plays today. Right now, I mean, all the way up top, it's hard to get away from Jokic. Like, Ayton would be the guy I would go to, but because just the opportunity cost at center, he's projecting out for like nearly 10 more points than anybody else. I think some sneaky Super Draft plays. Paul George at a 1.25x multiplier probably goes lower owned. Middleton at a 1.4x, way too low. Porter, I mean, obviously, like guys up top like LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, like those guys are good. Michael Porter, yet again, just like yesterday, strong option, just 1.6x. Derrick Rose, 1.7x. Some guys who might not pick up as much steam, but deserve to. I mean, I want to say Ayton, but it's just tough when he's so far away projection-wise than Nikola Jokic. But some guys that might not pick up as much steam. Jakob Poeltl at 1.65x because of that center spot. Dennis Schroeder at 1.65x. What is the multiplier meaning on Superdraft? Yeah, so the multiplier basically means, so for example, you can see multiplier on the screen right now. Let's pick one out together here. So let's pick out a multiplier. So you see Julius Randle. Julius Randle, I have him highlighted right here. He has a 1.2x multiplier right here where my mouse is. Depending on how many points he scores today, you'll multiply that by 1.2x. You don't personally have to. Superdraft will do it themselves, and that will give you his Superdraft points. So there's no salary cap. So based on the multiplier, it gives you basically all Superdraft players will mainly start to project out for like around 35 to 60 fantasy points. But that multiplier will let you know exactly who are the better plays, and then you multiply their overall points by that. So if you project projections, you make your points projections and then multiply it by the multiplier. Been with you since the beginning, Sal. How do I always get all players right, but there are the one or two who kill your chances of taking down a tournament? Yeah, John. So that's something that's happening a lot more this year because of, just blowouts are happening more often because teams are resting players, teams are getting hit by COVID. So yeah, it happens to me a lot, right? It happens to me some nights, and you just have to accept it that it's going to happen. And then some nights it doesn't happen, and you have to know that that's happening to a lot of other people out there. So yeah, this is my water bottle. I was like, what is that? But yeah, I think that contest selection can also help that. If you have there's been so many times I've cashed or even placed highly this year with guys who have gotten 12 points, 13 points because I'm playing in fields that have 180 people, and that guy who got 12 points was like 50% owned. So yeah, you have a really good chance of cashing, right? So I'll keep preaching contest selection, but also just check out what you're doing, right? Are those guys who are missing for you, are they getting hurt? Are they getting in foul trouble? Are they in a blowout? Because those are just some things you literally cannot, you're just getting bad luck there. Or are you picking bad wing players? Are you loading up your lineups with the Tyus Jones and the Xavier Tillmans and the Desmond Bains like people will tonight? Sure, playing one of them is okay. I really don't have any interest in, and Justice Winslow maybe, especially if he starts if there's no Kyle Anderson, but I really don't have much interest in those guys. So are you playing the proper players? Do you understand when to go stars and scrubs versus balance? Like those types of things. I can't imagine you ever watch Netflix or relax, but have you ever watched Kingdom? Great series, only 3 seasons, about an MMA gym, just amazing and totally gets no attention. I think I've seen, so I do watch Netflix, but you are right, not that much. But I do, there's definitely some shows that I like to binge watch, and like when I eat, I'll watch just like YouTube clips of Chano, is it Chano? The former heavyweight boxer or MMA player. I think he might be in light heavyweight. I know he faced John Jones in the past. But I have seen Kingdom. Yes, I have seen it on Netflix. I've not watched it. I've seen I guess that's a bad way to say it. I've seen The Coming Attraction. But yeah, I'll check it out. Let's go. Anything on Tice tonight? No, not interested. I appreciate you reaching out to people who suffer from depression. I was in the Army for 6 years, and it's hard to connect with a lot of people. Damn, John. Yeah, feel free to reach out whenever you want. My DM's open on Twitter, @Vetri DFS. I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for your service, though. But yeah, it's a real thing. Today's actually teenage, or I want to make sure I get it right, but I believe it's Teenage Depression Awareness Day. So that's a real thing. If you watched, and it's increasing to a dramatic extent for both males and females, but especially teenage women, teenage girls. It's increasing at a very scary rate, I would say. Absolutely less than 1K in the Monster Tournament. Yeah. See, so Paul literally said that he won yesterday or the day before $15,000 by playing in a contest that had less than 1,000 people, and he would have won way less if he played in the big tournament. So if you have your entries reserved tonight for the big tournament, I don't know what else you need to hear. You might be saying, I'll never win big money in those other contests. We literally have a guy in here last night that won $15K instead of probably, my guess is like $400, right? Something like that. If you would have just put it in the right contest. So many times I have people sending me stuff that's like, hey, I put this into this contest. And like, what would this have done in some smaller field stuff? And like for the similar buy-ins, it's usually like 10x more. Like on average, it's like 10x more, which is just crazy. Schroeder's still an option. Yeah, he's my number 13 play right now. Westy and Beal in the same lineup, bad. I'm probably not going to get there tonight, to be honest with you, man. I might even set a rule against it. It's not terrible for a 6-game slate. There's more ways for that to work for you, but overtime is probably the main way. Let's get it, Sal. Let's get a DC. I only play in single entry 3 max or showdown if I actually watch the games with some boys. I like that, yeah. Holiday or Morant tonight? Morant. Hey, Sal, curious your contest selection strategy on Superdraft. I know on DK you preach the small field stuff. Do you play cash at all in Superdraft? I actually don't play cash in Superdraft, but I play basically every single GVP, even the big ones over there, because they don't fill. Any contest that does not fill, like even if it's just 5 or 10%, I'm playing in it, let alone 20 or 25 or 30%. It doesn't matter how many people enter it at that point because 30% are not filling, so you are literally playing for free. You're getting money in expected value. You're getting money to play in the tournament, even if you lose. Now, how does that make sense? Well, you literally start off the tournament by profiting money before any games even click off. And then you go down from there. So your expected value is insane. It's insane. Long term, you will win a lot more money in those types of contests than ones that fill. It just makes sense. So I've tried Superdraft a few times, made a little bit of money. What contest should I be selecting? Yeah, I all of them. So basically the same sentiment there, all of them. Look at the ones that don't fill. Usually the big contests, like the $7,500 to first night, probably fill at like 80 to 85%, and you'll have a lot of upside. Maybe even less than that, right? Maybe even less than that, and you'll have a lot of upside. So the ones that don't fill the most. I mean, single entry 3 max are my standards for any site, but when contests don't fill, I just play in those ones, right? Like if the big DraftKings contest tonight that I'm actively against because it's a lottery, if that had 40,000 people in it and only 30,000 people filled it, you can be damn sure that I would max it out. I would max it out because you literally just by putting lineups in are automatically beating 30% of the field because they're not playing, right? So yeah, that's the caveat, but that's never going to happen on DraftKings. They have too much liquidity. Y'all got the Wizards or Grizzlies winning today? I don't actually have either side of that. I don't bet on. I only do DFS game types, stock market game types. I don't bet on NBA myself personally. Simon, man, keep up the great work. Thanks, man. Which Spurs do you like today? Yeah, so I like DeMar DeRozan the most today, and then the rest of these guys are just kind of plug and plays. There's a couple of other options I'd rather have over DeJounte Murray with no. We don't have any Aldridge tonight, so that makes Jakob actually become in play. So I'd probably go DeRozan and then Jakob after that, and then it's just a coin flip between like Patty Mills, probably next, Murray, those types of guys. What ceiling do you have on Desmond Bain tonight? Let me see. I Bain for 17.6 points. I mean, my ceiling on him is going to be in the low 20s, basically. Let me see what let me actually run a quick range of outcomes on him. Let's do this. My ceiling on Desmond Bain is about 24.8 points, which is not great. That's where my ceiling is on Desmond Bain. What's up, Sal? We got to do a mock draft battle on mutual YouTube lives. 6 followers of yours versus 6 followers of mine. Love the show. You rock, man. What's going on, Fantasy Football Show? Yeah. I'm trying to see how that would work. Obviously, 6 and 6 makes sense. You think like we can like simulcast both of them? I don't know if you're still in here, Smitty. What state are you in, Sal? I'm currently in North Carolina, but I'll probably be moving to Texas in a couple of months. I assume just based on you recently posting that question that you're in here. But yeah, I'm sure people right now in the chat know Smitty. Has a lot of stuff going on his YouTube channel, his website, his Instagram. Be sure to check him out. Yeah, we've been trying to plan some stuff. So like over the Super Bowl, we tried to plan something. Didn't end up working out. Just busy day on the Super Bowl for both of us, I'm sure. But I basically like shut down NFL now for like at least it's been. I mean, the NFL ended basically a month ago now. At this point, I'll probably start getting back. And like I'm not putting out content. I'm still way caught up to speed. Like I'm basically doing all back end research stuff on a lot of prospects. I'll start to create content around the NFL probably end of March, probably in like 3 to 4 weeks. So I'll start to create content around the draft and things like that. But until then, I won't be. So I'm still keeping up, obviously, with all the news and free agency speculation. Most of it's just bullshit at this point. But for the most part, yeah, just background stuff. Yeah, you and I live at the same time. Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, obviously that makes sense to do, right? But I assume we would just each pick up our own Skype rooms or something like that. Late to the show, best plays on Super Draft tonight. Yeah, we talked about it like 5 minutes ago if you want to scroll back, but I'm sure I'll talk about it in a second again. Is Morant chalk tonight? Yeah, he's definitely going to be chalk. Don't watch Kingdom unless it's the last Kingdom or Animal Kingdom. Uh-oh. John, I've been in the Army for going on 15 years now. Spent 27 months in combat zone. Reach out to me if you need anything, brother. There we go. People in the chat connecting. Some people dealing with some mental stuff from the military. Talk about it. Connect for sure. Reach out to Mr. Dave Broom. You can find his cornhole page on Facebook. Probably easy way to find him. What's up, Big Energy Sal? Show your boy some love and smack that like button. Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all those things. Check out our optimizer now, the Big Energy Optimizer. Let's see what the Big Energy Optimizer. Let's see what this bad boy is going to spit out. We can build some lineups now. So yeah, we have an optimizer now. Second day of March. It's now official on Patreon if you guys want to check it out. It comes bundled in. Lots of upside. I know like a lot of other sites. I was looking at a lot of other sites to find out pricing, and I was like, oh, this is like bullshit. Like all these other sites are like so ridiculous with this shit. I get it though. They might have like 50 employees or contractors, and I don't, so I understand the need to charge more. But man, it's brutal. It's brutal out there in those streets. Like you want to buy like a decent optimizer. It's like $50 a month. You want to get like some decent projections and tools, like at minimum $30, $50 a month at minimum. Most sites it's like 50 to 100 for each of those things. Just brutal in those streets. If I didn't do my own stuff, I don't think I would be playing a lot of DFS because I would not be able to afford fucking $250 a month on like tools and stuff. At that point, you better be absolutely dominating, right? Let's actually do this. This is why this isn't going to be. Yeah, I got to make sure I have all my guys in. All right, cool. Max salary $50K. That sounds good to me. And let's do that. Bang. And max from the same team. We'll go with 5. Just to get something going. Cool. Let those build. Rose or none? I'll go Rose. We got a super chat. What are the top 3 fastest paced games today? I will say, pull up my target sheet. So Milwaukee and Denver, Washington and Memphis, and then there's like a couple of games that are similar, like Atlanta, San Antonio is similar, but a lot of guys out there. Or Miami, Atlanta is similar to San Antonio, New York, but Miami, Denver, and Washington, Memphis are kind of the standouts. When you get back on it to full go, let's get something going. I'll DM you details. Thanks, man. Love the new bits you're doing. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have a new bit tomorrow too. Yeah. Reach out to me. I'll probably be up and going with some sort of schedule on content releases, and maybe even having another guy help me with content. Probably like right first week of April. That gives us like a month, 3-4 weeks until the NFL draft. I would be doing content year round if there's 2 of me for NFL, but it just from like the way that I'm positioned for like betting in DFS, it makes more sense to kind of transition. I love covering golf, so I'm going to keep doing that. I really enjoy covering NBA. The daily grind of NBA is definitely something that is an annoyance at times, but I enjoy it, so it just makes more sense business-wise and enjoyment-wise to transition into that. And also, like, that 1 to 2 months after the NFL season is kind of just like you can get a lot of content out of prospects that are like looking ahead to next year, but from like for me at least, from like where my audience is, from like an interest standpoint, it's not there. Obviously, covering Dynasty would be one thing to do, but again, I would probably need 2 of me. Higher ceiling tonight, Russ or Kawhi? I'll go Russ. Sad, do you take into account the highest scoring games and prioritize those games? It's all taken into account into my projections. So like team totals, game totals, they're all projected into my, well, team totals, not game totals, because that's like double counting. So yeah, they're all taken into account into my projections on Patreon. So yeah, I take them into account. Do I prioritize high scoring games? I prioritize high scoring players, right? So that's get taken into account there. Does your optimizer work for Superdraft? No, but it is something that I brought up to the developer. So it's something that we'll probably start to work and try and implement through the next month or two. Sorry for the frequently asked questions. Does your optimizer allow CSV downloads and exports? Yes. Yep. So you can upload your own if you wanted to if you wanted to tweak my projections, you can do them in here right here. So here's like some of the projections right here. So like 58. So 58.4, you can just double tap it and you can tweak it, or you can upload right here. There's an so I have my screen filtered right now, so you can't see everything. But this button right here that it's barely not being shown is upload data, and then you can easily export the data as well. So you can export your builds as well, just on the builds page. So once you ever go to the builds page, you can just export anything that you want. So yeah, you can upload, do all those types of things. Lots of upside for you, good fella. Hit on one of your lineups yesterday, $30 Rooskies. Let's go. One of these optimizer lineups. That's so cool. Tice or Barton? I'll go Barton. He said Barton earlier. Yeah, I'll go Barton. Player $3,300 and under. So the guy I would go to, Mr. Breadshots, under 3,300, is probably Obi Toppin. I have Obi Toppin for 20 minutes tonight. He's finally starting to see more minutes with these Knicks. He's the only guy below 3,300 that I would go to. PJ Dozier at 3,200 is, I guess, consideration as well. Hey, Sal, late to the party. You like CP3 today? So CP3 is meh. I have him for 33 minutes. He's in a player pool, but he's not like a priority. Bogdanovich at 3K. No, he's on a minute. I think Bogdanovich probably plays 15 minutes today. So no, he's on a strict minutes limit, they said. So I can't really see that adding up to much of anything in my opinion. Higher ceiling, Kawhi or Jason Tatum. If Brown is out, I'll go with Kawhi either way, actually. I like Marquis at 34. Yeah, I mean, he's okay. But hey, Sal, I appreciate the great content. If Anderson is out, are you high on Brandon Clark and Tillman? Yes, I'll become higher on them. Yes, for sure. Definitely become higher on them. Just bought the NBA priority. How do you get to the lineup optimizer? Yeah, so what's going on, Tycoon? So if you want to get to the lineup optimizer, you literally can go right here, my man. So I have it up right now, I believe, on my end. Let me pull it up just so I could show you. So if you go to my recent post from today, NBA 3-2 projections, it's right here on the screen right now. If you go to the recent post on Patreon from today, the NBA 3-2 projections, and you want to scroll down. So this is down below. This is where you can get the projections downloadable. Here's the updated news, all judges out. And right here, NBA Access Lineup Optimizer. You click this link and it'll take you to the site that has the video, or the link that has the video of the projections, the optimizer and all that type of stuff. So the optimizer crunched out some lineups for us. This is before putting in any major rules. So just keep that in mind. So the highest projected lineup that the optimizer gave us before putting in any rules, right? I don't have any all rules in yet. This is without any other news. It's a pretty decent lineup. I'm going to be honest with you. A pretty decent lineup. There's one thing that I know I don't like. I have 4 Memphis guys, 2 of them which are values. It's not terrible, but it's not something I'm dying to get to. But this is the highest projected lineup as of right now. Ja Morant, Derrick Rose, Kawhi, love that. Obi Toppin, we just talked about, flat $3,000. He actually looks okay. Nikola Jokic, Justice Winslow, Xavier Tillman, and Jonas Valanciunas. So I don't have any rules in place, but I really don't want to have Xavier Tillman, Winslow, and Obi Toppin in the same lineup, right? I don't want 3 guys that are like getting below 20 points for me. So I'd set a rule to basically try to X that out. I put all these guys in groups together, right? So if you want to scroll over here, you can see another similar lineup that's going to be posting similar options, except this one has Desmond Bain in it. We scroll down here. So it seems like it's giving us a lot of like a Kawhi plus Nikola Jokic build, which I'm fine with. But that's going to lead to a lot of value guys that I'm not going to like. If right? If we don't get Kyle Anderson, then these types of lineups with Tillman, with Justice Winslow will start to become a lot more solidified. So this is the big energy optimizer if you want to check it out below. Is Trey Young worth it at his price? I like other options like a Kawhi more tonight. Your favorite stud tonight, Jokic, as of right now. Cousin Sal, my man, always looking fresh. Thanks, man. Let's get it, Sal. What the fuck is up, man? What's up, chat fam? Out of work, ready to get this news. Let's go, Evan. My man, Evan, fire rocketing into the chat. Yeah, if you guys want to check out Jock Market also, they're sponsoring the show. I'll post a link to Jock Market. We got over 300 people still kicking back, relaxing, maxing, all cool in here. I appreciate you all a ton. But let me grab a little linker to Jock Market. I don't think I put one in the description below, so I'll update that. I'll throw one into the chat. We're going to be doing from 6:45 to 7:45 a live Jock Market show. So it's a daily fantasy sports stock exchange. It's a ton of fun, and you kind of get a sweat up until the market closes. So it's really cool. Here's the link if you want to check it out. That link will get you $20 to play with. Bro, you're the GOAT for answering everything. Thanks, man. Thanks. That's the whole point of these Q&As, right? This content is a little bit more unique than people who just break down the slate for like the third time in the day. Can get a little bit old, I would say. But yeah, do you like Jokic or Giannis tonight? So they're like 1A, 1Bs for me. I'll take Jokic, but they're like so close. Any Tice or Randall tonight? I have Randall. I don't have any Daniel Tice. I'm actually like Randall tonight. Randall is a maybe, but he's very close to a yes for me. Hey, Sal, Trey Young or Miami guard on Super Draft tonight? Which Miami guard? Super Draft tonight. Let me see between those options that you just gave me. We do have, yeah, Super Draft interests are up. Somebody asked earlier. So Trey Young or a Miami guard on Super Draft tonight? I mean, I would go with Jimmy Butler tonight over Trey Young. Actually, no, give me Trey Young. Give me Trey Young. If Jimmy Butler is out, that's where you start to get like a Goran Dragic 1.6x if he plays more minutes, a Tyler Hero 1.5x, but I'll take Trey Young there. Pat Connaughton for a cheap play tonight? Not really something I'm trying to do personally. Alrighty, I just got an update from the developer. He said that he's going to be pushing an update tonight that basically changes max repeating players to uniques. So now we're going to be having uniques set up perfectly there. Kankar, a bare minimum? Not for me. I'd rather go to Obi Toppin at the bare minimum. I'm not getting to Kankar, or whatever his name is, Victor Kankar. I have Kankar or Vlatko. I have him for 15 minutes, no interest. Buying NBA priority package now. Been really wanting to take DFS more seriously, says Luminary Lee. Shout out you, my man. Yeah, man. So, yeah, the whole point of it was, look, I have some contractors on this site right now. We're trying to build, something a little bit more sustainable media company-esque. That's why we have now a NASCAR creator. Chris Pinelli's awesome. We have Manpreet for MMA, who's just fantastic with the biggest MMA event in a very long time this week at 259, in my opinion. Even bigger than that first fight island with, I believe it was Ferguson and Gaethje. Even bigger than that event, in my opinion, with the Nunez fight, the Jan fight, the Izzy fight this week. So, yeah, he's going to be doing that. We have some more probably NFL content coming out from Dylan Bird in the future. We're going to be prepping something for that. Golf. So we have a lot of stuff here, right? It's mainly just me as I'm the only employee of the company, my own company. So we're able to package things in a unique way, right? We're able to keep prices low because we don't have a lot of overhead. There's really no overhead. I pay for some subscription services. Sometimes I pay here and there for a graphic to be made, right? So there's not a ton of overhead. So we can keep the prices low, which keeps the value there for you people. So I think we're making a pretty cool community here because of that, right? Where we don't have as many barriers to, you want to sign up for insert site in the industry here that's got like 50 employees or contractors and you're paying, like, I think FTN charges, like, how much does FTN charge? It's like a couple $100 a month or something crazy. If you want like their all sports inclusive package, like, how's the average person supposed to buy that? Can I start a build with Westbrook, Kawhi, and Valanciunas? Can you start one with that? Yeah, definitely. You're going to have to search for some value, which is tough. Like, I'm a little bit more for a balanced build tonight, but yeah, that's fine. Oh boy, we just got the update from the boss man of the optimizer himself. So we got the optimizer on the uniques, but now he's going to be adding in randomness. Claps around. Randomness was the biggest thing that people requested, and now we got it. You're so awesome. You were my favorite for projections. I love the way you break things down. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Any Bogdanovich from Atlanta tonight at 3K flat? Not for me, my man. I know he's very cheap, but look, he's somebody that even if he was not on a minutes limit tonight, I think they were only playing like 24 minutes. So at 3K flat, sure, that looks appealing. But the problem is he's going to be on a minutes limit. So Bogdanovich on a minutes limit is like 15 to 18 minutes for a guy who's not the greatest of producers, right? Not going to have a strong role in this team right away with Trey Young and John Collins and Capella still out there with him. It's not for me. Marquis Morris, bread shots, getting 20-plus minutes lately. Bad game against the Blazers, but his ankle was questionable that game. Yeah, so Marquis Morris I have for, I believe, 22 minutes today, if I recall, and he's just another guy that's, like, there. Like, I don't have strong interest in him. He's at 22 minutes, 3,400, sure. So every single value piece on this slate, not named Brook Lopez, basically, because he actually plays 30-plus minutes. Every other value piece is just all the 3K guys, Justice Winslow, Tillman, all these guys, until Kyle Anderson gets ruled out. If he gets ruled out, they're all just kind of there, right? They're all like, okay, maybe they'll get you 18 or 20 points. Well, if I don't have a guy getting me 19 points, I'm fine with that if I pass up on that guy. I'm out, Sal. Thanks. What is randomness, says Dallas Child? Yeah, so randomness is basically like a range of outcomes. That's like the easiest way to break it down for you. Basically, range of outcomes, a range from the mean. So, yeah, that's basically what it is without trying to go too deep into it. So what it's going to do is it's going to take into account more outcomes. So if a guy has let's just say you have a whole entire lineup and it's projected for 269 points, right? So let's just pull up one of the lineups that the optimizer built for us. So this lineup, so the big energy optimizer, it builds this lineup right here, right? So if you use randomness on this, and let's just say you put it to 20, 30%, whatever it is, it's going to take into account more ranges of outcomes. So what that's going to do is you want to use lower randomness. Depending on the sport, you can let it go specifically for that player randomness, which I'm sure we'll be adding. We've already added just normal randomness after a couple of days alone. But if you wanted to go randomness on this, it would take that. All right, Job Morant for me has a 38.1 point projection tonight. Okay, well, if you use randomness on that, it's going to take into account situations where he only scores 35 points, and he's not going to get into as many lineups. But it's also going to take into account situations where he scores 41, 42, 43, 44, depending on how much randomness you put on him, 40 points, right? So that's where you'll start to get different lineup combinations because of randomness. It basically means that, yes, we have medium projections, but not every single one of these players are going to land right in their medium projection, right? They're going to land around it, but not on it. That takes into account randomness. It takes into account range of outcomes. Wesley Matthews for Phoenix or Bogdanovich then? Oof. I mean, never Wesley Matthews, but I don't want either. I don't want either of those guys. Obi Toppin if you're going minimum price. Brook Lopez or Marquis Morris for utility spot tonight? I'll go Brook. Just got off work. Did I miss any big news, fellas? Just LaMarcus Aldridge got ruled out in the afternoon. We're still waiting on most of the news right now. The only other big news is that we'll be going live at 6:45 for the opening bell for Jock Market tonight. So be sure to set your notifications and just reminders. We just got the first lineup for Washington. It is their Mo Wagner is starting for Washington tonight, so that's interesting. See if that changes for anything on my end in projections. But nice to see Mr. Mo Wagner starting. But they really do keep those rotations tight. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for the explanation, Nissan. No, man. No problem, man. Damn, I missed the optimizer crunch. Yeah, so obviously some things are going to change. The optimizer is, so this is like some of the highest projected lineups. It's really liking Kawhi and Nikola Jokic. My problem with the optimizer is it's giving us a lot of Memphis right now. It's giving us like Tillman and Winslow together, Jonas Valanciunas and Morant. Not too sure I like that as of right now. It's a smaller slate, so it makes it a little bit more appropriate. But like we can go into... Like, how much ownership do we get on guys? I don't really want to get too much of some of these players, so that's going to be the issue, right? Randomness will definitely help with that, but let's start to get a new build going on in here. So let's see if we end up going with, let's do 6, and let's just do 3 per team to see what happens if we can limit some of those guys that we're getting from Memphis. Kawhi or Middleton or Capella? I'll go Kawhi. You like Kemba Walker tonight? Not really. Not at that price point. Didn't even see that Aldridge was out. Yeah, he's out. Concar at the bare minimum, not for me. Best 4K value besides Winslow. Yeah, I would go 4K value. I would go with Brook Lopez personally. How do you feel about putting Chris Paul and Booker in the same lineup? I'm really not for that personally, in my opinion. Add another Patreon to your list. Just subbed, says Luminary Lee. Round of applause. Luminary Lee, be sure to link your Discord access or create a Discord and link it to the Patreon because you will now be in the Discord. So you can chat around with the other almost like 300 people now that we have active in there. We're slowly starting to get more and more people hooked up into that since we made it available to everybody. Currently, right now, active on the Discord, we have 40 people that are like in there talking right now, or at least on the list. Yeah, quick look. I'm already telling myself to not play over 3 guys from Memphis. Yeah, I feel the same. Do you like Bain if he comes off the bench? I think Clark will start. I don't really like Bain at all. The ownership that Bain's picking up, I'm not really there. Like, he's not a good producer, and they have so many other guys to give minutes to, right? All right, everybody, I think I'm going to bounce. We're going to get ready for our show later on tonight in about an hour and 20 minutes for Jock Market. So before you go, if you want to hit the like and subscribe, I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Check out the sponsor of this here show, Jock Market. We'll be doing a specific show for Jock Market a little bit later. There's a link that just got dropped. If you want to check out Jock Market, it is an app. It is a very sleek app. It's very reminiscent of Robinhood's just layout and user design. But yeah, check out Jock Market. It's a ton of fun. You can buy now stocks of players. So I think there's going to be some interesting options that we'll talk about in the live stream later that I'm heading towards. But really, it'll be determined based on what those value of those guys is, depending on what they're selling for in the market closer to lock. DeRozan tonight, yes. Winslow topping Bain in the same lineup? Yeah, I think so. All right, everybody. So check that out. Check out the new optimizer that we were just playing around with on the stream today. It is now available on Patreon with all of our other tools and stuff. So just trying to add as much value as possible. You all rock. Appreciate you all for being here. I'll see some of you in like an hour and 10 minutes. Peace out, gang. See you in the next one. You all rock. Noel, a good start. I think so. Brown is available to play tonight. Perfect. I already projected him in, so nothing changes there. Peace out, gang. Peace out, peace out, peace out.